Tigers just hit a purple patch now where I think we're bringing on Ssangjon at such an incredible moment where the margins are just going to be out of this world for such a beautiful operation like this.
In other words, you produce your tungsten concentrate at 110 or 120 and sell it at today's market, which is 1800. Commissioning, in other words, test running and sort of stabilizing the system will take another month. That's why we are realistically targeting mid-May to end May as the completion of the commissioning.
Then the valuation of this current round of 125 million Canadian pre-money, and we're raising 5 million, is less than a 1 times PE for 2027. Yeah, sure, Ed, just click on the More button and then you'll scroll down to see the landing page. Click on that, leave your name and email, and hopefully your phone number, and one of us will call you straight back.
Today we're having a chat with Jeremy Gray and Tiger Kim of Pure Tungsten. Lots of updates, both on the corporate side and operationally. But Jeremy, before we dive into all that, why don't we start with a high-level overview of Pure Tungsten for anyone watching who might not be familiar?
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Stein, and thanks for everyone for joining in today. We've merged with Tiger's beautiful asset GBI Ssangjon mine in South Korea. We also have the Tajikistan mine Mikahara that you've visited, Stein, with Tiger. And we want to basically create what we believe will be the largest Western world producer of tungsten. And we have Ssangjon coming on stream in May and June of this year, first concentrate production since it last operated in 1974. So it could not be a better time to have this interview, to update everyone, particularly with the market so strong. It's run nearly 4 times in price in the last 12 months since Tiger and I started this journey together with yourself.
Yeah, tungsten pricing has gone absolutely parabolic, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But before that, Tiger, perhaps we could get an update on where Ssangjon is currently standing.
Well, as Jeremy mentioned, we are on track for the commercial production sometime late May or June. There has been a little bit of a minor adjustment reflecting a very bullish tungsten market these days, right? I would say we have done 2 things in the past several weeks. Number one, we lowered the cutoff grade of our mine from 0.2% down to 0.1%. By doing that, we are going to gain more or retrieve more tungsten in this market prices. And similar to that, we have also adjusted our strategy to produce low to medium grade concentrate instead of relatively high-grade concentrate. It is also related to the demand-supply situation in the market. These days, nobody produces high-grade tungsten concentrate because in order for you to produce high-grade concentrate, you tend to lose a lot of tungsten. In other words, recovery ratio will come down and loss rate will go up. But because tungsten processing companies want more tungsten, they are ready to accept medium to low grade concentrate. So we have adjusted that. And as a result, it's not very clear, but we believe a combination of both, we would gain about 20% of more tungsten produced at Ssangjon mine.
Wow, that is incredible. Of course, truly a benefit of a bull market for tungsten like we're in right now. Tiger, you were waiting the last time we spoke on machinery from China. Has that come in, and what's the update there?
Everything's set. The equipment are ready. All the major equipments are already manufactured, actually packed for the shipment. Only thing is, in order to produce low to medium grade tungsten concentrate, we need to have more units of spirals and the shaking tables. In other words, the gravity section. So that's why we have been doing some sort of adjustment with the equipment manufacturer. But as you said, everything's all set. All these guys will come. All the equipment will be shipped at the same time, not in a sort of partial way. So they are ready. And right after this the long Chinese New Year, Chinese equipment manufacturer and our logistics agents have agreed to start shipping, and which will take about 3 to 4 weeks, door to door to our mine. And that's why we are planning to begin installation of this equipment in mid-March.
Yeah, installation of equipment in mid-March, hopefully, if everything goes all right with the shipments. How quickly from installing to you could go to commissioning and potentially producing tungsten?
Actually, installation itself is not time-consuming process. All the foundation and the steel structures, it has to be there in time. That's what we've been preparing together with our equipment manufacturer. And I would say installation under the direction of the Chinese, the head engineers, will take about a month. And commissioning, in other words, test running and sort of stabilizing the production, the system will take another month. That's why we are realistically targeting mid-May to end May as the completion of the commissioning, and start producing from, I would say, early June, latest.
Perfect. Thank you for the update there, Tiger. Jeremy, quickly to you. You mentioned earlier that tungsten pricing is going parabolic. Can you give us an update there, what you're seeing behind the scenes for tungsten pricing currently?
Yeah, I think we've all been surprised by the incredible move, and there's no doubt tungsten is probably the hottest commodity in the world in the last year. It's really a supply issue. There's no supply. I mean, Ssangjon's a great case study. It last produced in 1974, and when you and I visited together, you remember there's blasted material from the last shift in July of 74 sitting on the ground ready for haulage. And that's the story of the tungsten industry. Most mines shut down. There's been virtually no investment, and now China's obviously got these export bans. They're desperately needing imports themselves. Defense spending's gone crazy in the West with all the wars out there, and suddenly the market's just super tight, and it's a very long lead time. So Ssangjon is by far the most advanced restart in the industry. There's nothing that comes close, and Tiger's been at this. He's been at this for 4 or 5 years now, putting these plans together when tungsten used to be $300 per 10 kilos. So often, the harder you work, the luckier you get, and Tiger's just hit a purple patch now where I think we're bringing on Ssangjon at such an incredible moment where the margins are just going to be out of this world for such a beautiful operation like this.
Yeah, truly incredible. Jeremy, could you give us a picture of where tungsten pricing is currently standing?
Well, it comes out every Friday afternoon. It's a very obscure market, so you won't find it on your computer or on your iPhone. But we get an update from Michael Dornhofer, actually from Austria. A special shout out to Michael, and he's been giving us an update for the last 5 years, every Friday about 4 o'clock. And on this last Friday, it hit a high of $1,800 per 10 kilos, which is $180,000 a ton, which is pretty incredible when you think copper sells at 16,000. Tungsten is basically, 12, 13 times more valuable than copper. And it was $450 this time when we started talking together with Tiger 9 months ago, wasn't it? You remember, Stein? It was $450 and it's gone to $800. So it's a parabolic move, and I don't see it really coming back because where's the supply? You've got Almonte still waiting to bring their mine on, and they're hopefully starting soon. They're just down the road from us. You have the King Island operation it's producing, but it's nothing like it was. We have Pure Tungsten in the UK that's still on care and maintenance. Trying to think of so many others coming on. Obviously, EQ Resources have done very well in Spain. But apart from that, there's just no Western world supply, and there's lots of these early stage exploration stories like Guardian Metals and guys with massive market caps that are at least 5 to 10 years away from first production.
Stein, if I may supplement a bit. Well, as Jeremy mentioned, the Western world has not been very active in the investment into the tungsten mines. Other than those mines which Jeremy just mentioned, there are certain mines which are producing, but the reality is that these mines, for example, the mines in Kazakhstan, they are producing relatively high volume of tungsten concentrate recently. They started producing. The problem is everything 100% goes to China, right? So this Chinese company has been sort of taking all these good mines, not only in China, but outside China. To give you an idea, last year, about 20 to 25,000 tons of concentrate, the tungsten concentrate, which represents about, say, 20% of the global tungsten concentrate, was imported by China. And as we discussed before, China has become, long become a net importer of the tungsten, the concentrate. Now, if it's going to be purely a geopolitical play or tension, this sort of a price level could come back so quickly. But I would say, in today's world, there just isn't enough tungsten material in the market. So that's going to be the difference between tungsten and other the critical minerals which have experienced fluctuations before.
There's just isn't enough tungsten in the world out there, and what a great time to be starting up your Ssangjon mine together with this modular setup that you have with the Hupa processing plant. Tiger, could you give us, paint a picture for how profitable your operation could be at current tungsten pricing of $1,800 per 10 kilograms?
When we started discussion with Jeremy, the merger between GBI and Pure Tungsten, it was actually the price of 1 MTU, which is 10 kilogram, was around 340, 350, right? Now, our cost is almost unchanged. Of course, if due to the economies of scale, if we produce a little more, our cost tends to come down a bit less. But the important thing is currently we expect our cost level, production cost, would remain around 110, 120 for MTU. In other words, you produce your tungsten concentrate at 110 or 120 and sell it at today's market, which is 1,800. So the calculating the percentage of operating margin is meaningless.
Yeah, the leverage on that business model is truly incredible. Of course, you guys are in the ramp-up stage. Very exciting to see those catalysts move along. Jeremy, perhaps we can quickly talk about the corporate side. Of course, the merger between Pure Tungsten and GBI Innovation. How's that going?
Yeah, the merger's going well. We should have a fully signed after Chinese New Year. Tiger and the team have worked very hard to get this completed, and we're so proud to have Tiger as our CEO. He is a visionary in the industry. He's been at this for many years in tungsten, long before it became fashionable. He knows more about this, I think, than anyone else, and we're so proud to have Tiger. Also, it's not just South Korea, right? I mean, he's put together what we think is the highest grading tungsten mine in the industry in Tajikistan, and you can show the wonderful videos that you and Lars and the team filmed when you came to site. That's an extremely high grade mine, but also we have a long shopping list, and we're actually in discussions with 2 further acquisitions, both for near development producing tungsten mines, which is all part of our vision to become the largest Western world producer. Now, if you look at those numbers that Tiger just talked about, where the margins are pretty significant. I mean, 85% plus. They're almost like a royalty group, aren't they, Stein? At today's price, then the valuation of this current round of 125 million Canadian pre-money, and we're raising 5 million, is less than a 1 times PE for 2027. So, and you've seen some of these stocks like EQ Resources, Almonte, have gone up 10 to 25 times in the last year. And full credit to them, they deserve it. But we're pricing that at a fraction of our peer group, and we're just so excited to bring this to market in the second half of this year.
Perfect. And I have a couple more questions before that, Jeremy. Perhaps you can share how people can reach out to you and potentially participate.
Yeah, sure, Ed. Just click on the More button, and then you'll scroll down to see the landing page. Click on that, leave your name and email, and hopefully your phone number, and one of us will call you straight back. We have a fantastic team. Ed, Max, Eric, Jamila, and myself will be on the phone to give you more of a feel for what we're planning with Pure Tungsten. We have over 2,000 private investors in our group, and the response in the last round we did for Pure Tungsten was incredible. It went very quickly. So just, reach out and would happily give you more details. And if you want to speak to Tiger, he's always available. Koreans work 23 hours a day. We all know that. They're the hardest working people in the world. So he's always available also to get on the phone with you.
Incredible. Thank you for outlining that, Jeremy. And this 50-cent round that you're doing right now is, of course, to hopefully progress Ssangjon further. Can we quickly touch base on how the war chest is currently looking on the financial side?
Yes, we have $2 million in the account right now. We're raising 5 million Canadian, and we believe that's more than enough to get Ssangjon producing. It also gets us started in Tajikistan. And there will be a higher raise when I think we go public for Tajikistan, because that is a big capital item. I mean, the numbers are much bigger there. But that is a serious business. I mean, Tiger can tell you, but we're planning to run a tailings operation initially, high-grade tailings that give a very fast payback on investment. So at the moment, this round today will get us in full production at Ssangjon, and we'll be there in hopefully in June celebrating. And really, I think it's a very momentous occasion for Ssangjon, for South Korea, and everything Tiger's done over these last 5 years.
Excellent. And like you outlined, we did a site visit to both Korea and Tajikistan. Link will be in the description for anyone doing their due diligence on Pure Tungsten. Very, very informative. Last question I have for you, Jeremy, is you mentioned a going public strategy at some point. Perhaps you can quickly highlight what the current vision is that and what a realistic timeline would be.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, the phone is ringing hot, isn't it, Tiger? The phone's ringing hot. I mean, the favorite for us is probably a NASDAQ listing. It's the natural place to bring such a big asset on the market. We're looking at Toronto and we're looking at London. So all three are there, and there's a lot of people in discussions with us. But we think this is $1 billion company in the making, at least. When you compare it with EQ Resources, our Monty's are now 5 billion market cap, and they're just down the road from us. So we want to go big here. This is a very serious endeavor for us, and we're very serious about becoming the largest Western world producer in tungsten. Would you not agree, Tiger?
Perfect. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Very exciting catalyst on the horizon. And again, for anyone watching, links in the description. Thank you both so much.
Great, Stein. You're the best, mate.
Thank you, Stein. Thanks for inviting us. And since today is the first day of Chinese New Year or Lunar New Year, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone. 新年快乐.
Happy New Year indeed. All right.